What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and with this video we have an interesting one. We have ranking Ash's leagues from worst to best, but quick disclaimer, this is my opinion obviously, so I know I will get bashed in the comments for some of these. And before I go into the list, I need to put some restrictions. I am banning the Orange League, the Battle Frontier, even though I don't think anyone would expect that to be a part of this video, and the Masters 8, because, it isn't really a league. But at the end of the video, I will rank where I would put the Masters 8 tournament if it was in this list. But let's get into the video. Now, number 8, to I think a lot of people's shock, we have the very first league ever, the Indigo League. Now, this league is just infamous for, let's be real, Charizard just not obeying Ash, and Ash losing the league because of that. I know this league also had a few other battles, but let's be real, the first league, it doesn't really have a blueprint. It really just went downhill for most of it, with one of the most disappointing endings to a league, if not the most disappointing ending to a league. Now, next up, we have the Hoenn League at number 7. I know this may come to a shock because people are expecting another league to be here. But the Hoenn League, the problem with the Hoenn region in general that I had was that there wasn't really a main rival. This league kind of demonstrates that. We obviously had some good battles, but the battle that really carries this league for me is the battle with Morrison. Obviously, we had good battles, but at the end of the day, Pikachu losing to Meowth, where obviously it isn't that bad of a loss, but considering up until this point Pikachu was beating a Meowth every single episode, kind of leaves a sour taste in everyone's mouth, if I were to be honest. But this league's honestly good. I don't think any league is bad. The Indigo League is like passable, but this league is still pretty good on its own. Now, next up, we have the Unova League. I have to push away my bias a little, even though people would call this being biased, putting Unova this high. But this league for me was really, really enjoyable. It was my first league that I ever watched. It was a series I grew up with. The battles, I really enjoyed Ash versus Cameron, even though the ending was... Honestly, I thought it was a really, really good battle until Ash losing. Ash versus Stefan, in my opinion, the best battle of the whole league. And then I really enjoyed Ash versus Trip as well. I really thought that was a good battle. This league also had other good battles, but in my opinion, it had one good battle and then two great battles, despite the ending for one of them.
Ever since we got to the Alola region.
Next up, we have the Johto League. Man, what an awesome league looking back. I'm going to skip over the beginning of the league because, it was all fun. It was all nice. It was all pretty good. It was well balanced. And then we got Ash versus Gary, which I think up until, I want to say, Battle Frontier was probably the best battle of the series, That was an amazing battle, and it really set the chapter closing on the whole Kanto aspect of the series, because once we leave Johto, it's it felt like a whole different thing. And then Ash's battle with Harrison, which the Charizard versus Blaziken at the end, despite Charizard losing, I felt like that really peaked when it comes to battles. This league was well paced. I don't really see much wrong with this league. I wish it was a bit longer. I wish we had one more better battle that was up to these last two battles, but in the end, still a very, very good league. Now for number 3, I have the Alola League. Now listen, this league is amazing from start to finish. I think it's the longest league. If we were to include Kukui's battle, which I don't personally include if I were to go off about the league, but if we include it, I think this league could be even better than what it is. But I'm including it a little bit. Ash vs. Kuzma was amazing. The storytelling, it really felt like we were in a movie at that point. And then we obviously had Ash vs. Gladden. We had many other amazing battles, but those two are just a standout. And if I were to include Ash vs. Kukui, which was amazing, I think it gets undershadowed by Ash versus Leon because that just happened the series after. And it happened right after, like Ash versus Alon. But this is a league where Ash became a champion and became the Alolan champion. Now at number 2, I have the Sinnoh League. That really comes as a shock. I hope it's very close. If I were to be honest, it's very, very close. We had Ash versus Nando the first round. I thought it was an amazing way to open up the league. And then we had Ash versus Conway, which was a brilliant battle. Like, they executed that very well. Which then we got, in my opinion, I think a top 5 battle of the whole series. Ash versus Paul. Just peak Pokemon up until that point. That was the best battle up until that point in the whole series. Up until I think Carlos had a better battle, and then we had Ash versus a cheater. Tobias, where Pikachu and Sceptile really showed out. But man, what an awesome league! It really set a stamp on how amazing Pokemon is. Now, despite the most controversial ending to a league, in my opinion, I think it's the most controversial ending, we have the Kalos League. Yes, I know this league is known for many things, like Greninja losing and being the most rushed league, and I can't deny those things. Those things are there, especially the rush part. But come on. I think we got 2 of the top 5 best battles we ever got. I think both these battles were better than every battle in the Alola League. I think these and Ash vs. Paul are on par. The animation, the visuals, the battles, the intensity, the everything. This league just showcased what peak Pokemon is. We never got peak Pokemon like this up until, I'd say, Ash versus Leon at the end. But these battles showcased peak Pokemon throughout the battles. And don't worry, I'm still mad about Ash losing too. I don't think he should have lost here. And I know I said I'd include the Masters 8, so if I were to include the Masters 8 in the list, I'd put it number 3. I still think the Sinnoh League and the Kalos League are better, which is kind of sad knowing the potential this league had in the matchups we had. Obviously, the 2 standouts, Ash versus Cynthia, amazing battle to its core. And then, obviously, Ash versus Leon, where our boy became the champion, or the world's best.